Hi, I'm Brittany here with your Art Fail of the Week. Hello everyone, I am back with the series I started last month where I paint my Book of the Month pick, specifically only if I really enjoyed it. And for the month of January, I picked What Lies in the Woods by Kate Alice Marshall. I very much enjoyed this book and really was excited to paint my specialized version of it. So here I am, just blackening out the cover. It made it quite easy because the cover was already half black, so I kind of just matched that edge and covered the rest because you don't want an uneven base coat of paint, so I still had to cover that black part with more black just to have an even canvas ready for me to paint on. Now let me go ahead and read the synopsis that is on the flap of this book. It says, Naomi Shaw used to believe in magic. 22 years ago, she and her two best friends, Cassidy and Olivia, spent the summer roaming the woods, imagining a world of ceremony and wonder. The Goddess Game. The game became an obsession and a refuge for the three girls. That sanctuary was suddenly shattered when Naomi was attacked. Miraculously, she survived her 17 stab wounds and lived to identify the man who hurt her. The girls' testimony put away a serial killer, wanted for murdering 6 women. They were heroes, and they were liars. For decades, the friends have kept a secret that might be worth killing for, hidden in the forest. But now, Olivia wants to tell the whole story. Then she goes missing, and Naomi sets out to find out what really happened in the woods, no matter how dangerous the truth turns out to be. So the premise was quite intriguing to me. I did find at first, I thought it was a little cliche with having an unreliable narrator, some girls telling lies about stuff, but quickly found that it was kind of different than I thought it'd be. Not to spoil too much more. So here, talking about my customization, I am painting woods, obviously, and I specifically marked and looked up kind of how Naomi describes being in the woods and like her childhood memories of it, plus how it is now, her coming back to her town and seeing it again, and just their little tidbits that she remembers of them playing the Goddess Game in the woods. There's a hollowed out tree, which I'm starting to paint now, and there's like a reading rock that she remembers her friends sitting on and waiting for them. And also I didn't paint this, but there was an overturned shopping cart that basically grew vines around it and became part of the woods. And then there's the grotto, which I'll get to later, because I do specifically the grotto on the back portion of the book. So here I'm just trying to put in some like graining to that front tree to make it stand out a little more in the perspective, and also have some more texture. I played around with this a lot because I just didn't have the brown that I wanted, really. Like, I had a dark brown, I had my tan, and just like mixing colors, I couldn't get quite the colors I wanted, so I kind of had to make do with what I had, and just go with the flow. And same with the background trees, I kind of tried to add depth with having different kinds of browns. And here I'm adding over the grass and like moss, and the greens were actually a lot easier to mix and find different variations to create the grass and the moss and vines growing over stuff, and just that perspective I wanted to give you if you're staring at the front cover of the book with the tree line kind of going backwards, but that your focal point was being this reading rock and the hollowed out tree, but also leave some mystery to the woods and kind of not giving too much away on this front cover. I am using acrylic paint for these covers. I haven't mentioned that yet, but yes, this is acrylic paint, not oil paint. So it has more of a plasticky sheen to it. And here I'm going in with some of my Bob Ross skills of doing some leaf patterns, just a few. I was trying not to go overboard and just have like textured leaves all over the place. I wanted to leave that dark depth to the branches and also like keep that like dark woods feel and not get too bright with my greens. So that's what I'm doing here, is just adding a little bit of yellow to my green to make just a touch more depth, but not too much that it doesn't look dark and mysterious to this painting. And adding in just a couple, like I kept adding in more and more just little leaves, but I was so scared to go overboard with this texture. And then here I finally found a good mix of brown that I added into my tree and gave it even more like lightness so that it kind of stood out from those back trees. And then I sealed up my book cover with Podge, and I think I need to get more because mine is definitely more of a glue consistency than I wanted, so I actually had to water it down quite a bit to get it to like not just glob onto the book. And normally I would use my spray sealer, but I really didn't want to go outside into the garage for ventilation. So I did Mod Podge. And now we're to the back cover. I am going to give a mild spoiler warning for what I paint on this back cover. In the synopsis of this book, I just want to give mild spoiler. It's nothing, it doesn't give away like major plot, it's just within the plot, this is a major plot point. So hopefully you've read the book if you don't want to be too spoiled. I'm just giving you a warning because I know some people are touchy. but this doesn't give away what happens. This is just something that was left out of the synopsis, that they're talking about the secret, one of the secrets. This is one of the secrets. And if you have fully read the book, you'll completely get it. If you haven't, this is just maybe something that you'll understand once you do read the book. So just giving that premise before I continue talking about the painting that I decided to do. So I decided to add Persephone on the back cover. She is a skeleton the girls found when they were younger that sparked the goddess games. Persephone is their goddess, but she's also a real live skeleton that you find out more about later on in the book. I'm not gonna spoil major spoilers, but they find a skeleton with the bracelet Persephone on her wrist, and the goddess games begin, and they leave little trinkets for her. All their games revolve around her, giving sacrifices, which are mostly the trinkets, but they have tasks that they set up that they need to do for this goddess in the grotto, and they keep her secret. So I started painting the grotto more like a cave, being rocky, and then I added in the vines and growth of moss and stuff to make it look like it was actually like underground, because that's more of what a grotto is. It did state that the skeleton is curled on her side, and like kind of like it, to me it sounded like the fetal position almost, just like curled in, and so I tried to get that the best I could. I am not experienced with drawing skeletons or the human skull, so that I definitely had to look at a reference for and try to get just right. I was actually pleasantly surprised with my first try at it, getting it painted in the correct shape. I did paint it so that she didn't have a lower jaw, like the jaw just kind of disappeared somewhere, and maybe it's somewhere buried in the grotto, or it just fell off. So I didn't draw a hinged jaw onto the skeleton Persephone. Right now I'm adding in lilies to her eye sockets, because that's a thing stated in the book that it was left kind of as an offering, and I thought that was like beautiful imagery. Well, beautiful but spooky and kind of morbid. And it was just good imagery in my mind, so I wanted to paint those lilies in the eye sockets. And here I'm just adding little trinkets. I had a little gold necklace, and this is supposed to be a scarf. I didn't do too much detail on that scarf. I just wanted the basic idea that there's trinkets around her, and I left a little teddy bear, because if they were 10 or 11 when they found her, I figured they'd leave her a little teddy bear that was like their favorite teddy bear or something. I didn't specifically look up the names of what trinkets they left. I just kind of went off of some ideas that I thought maybe they would leave. I know it does list them in the book, but I just didn't want to look for that page while I was sparked by creativity. And here, instead of doing the bracelet actually like tinily on her wrist, I decided to just like blow up the bracelet, like make it larger and just have it laying off in the front. So I made the Persephone bracelet here. I'm waiting for that paint to dry, and then I go in first with a Sharpie, and then I find that it actually like doesn't write very well on the acrylic paint, so I get out one of my Pigma microns, and that one for some reason had better ink. Didn't dry out quite as fast. So yeah, I just wrote in her name because I figured that'd be way easier than going in with a paintbrush. And then I kind of add some little accents to those beads because they're supposed to be like a cute little friendship bracelet type beaded bracelet. And this is towards the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching me customize my book of the month pick. And if you read this pick, please leave a comment on how you enjoyed it. And if you hope to pick it up, leave a comment. Also, please like and subscribe if you want to see the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next art video. Bye!